The town of Dusthaven never welcomed newcomers without suspicion, and certainly not during monsoon season when the dirt roads turned to clay and the wind howled like a pack of wolves. So when a tall man on a black gelding rode in just before dusk, drenched, sun-worn, and stone-faced, every eye in the saloon paused mid-glance to mark him. Callen Graves, nobody knew that name yet, hitched his horse and stepped into the Lantern's Flame saloon with the weight of 2 years of silence and regret trailing behind him like the mud on his boots. He wasn't here for whiskey or trouble. Not this time. He was here because a letter had found him across 3 states, written in neat but nervous handwriting. Come if you still care. I'm out of time. Rosalie. Rosalie Quinn had once been the brightest star Dusthaven ever saw, a wildflower blooming among thorns. She ran her late father's blacksmith shop now, after a fire claimed the old man and half her face. Folks stopped calling her pretty after that. Some stopped calling her at all. She wore her scars like a weapon now. Hard eyes. Quiet words. No one got close. And yet, here he was. The outlaw she once loved. The man who left without goodbye. Chapter 2, A Test by Fire. The next morning, Callen walked straight into Quinn Forge like he still belonged. The clanging hammer paused. Rosalie looked up, wiping soot from her cheek. The scarred side of her face stayed in shadow. You got my letter. I came as fast as I could. Callen's voice was lower than she remembered, aged, or maybe cracked. You said you were out of time. I am. Not dying. She stepped into the light then, daring him to flinch. He didn't. Rosalie's chest tightened. She wasn't sure if she wanted him to be startled or not. It's not illness. It's survival, she continued. 3 ranchers have offered to buy this place. And by buy, I mean steal it cheap, thinking I'm too worn down to keep it running. Callen folded his arms. And me. She smiled without warmth. You're the test. His brow furrowed. What kind of test? Help me keep this place alive for 1 week. That's all I ask. Forge the orders, fend off the threats, be my second hand. At the end of the week, if you're still standing, maybe I'll believe you actually care. Then we'll talk about what we used to be. He nodded slowly. Deal. Chapter 3, Sparks and Shadows. They worked side by side from sunup to sundown. Callen chopped lumber, fixed wheels, shod horses, and held the bellows while Rosalie hammered metal until it glowed like blood-orange light. The rhythm returned, old, familiar, painful. Once, they'd dreamed of owning land together. She'd taught him how to read, he taught her how to shoot. But Callen had left to settle a blood debt, the kind a man couldn't outrun. She never forgave him. That 3rd night, after a long day's work, Rosalie found Callen asleep in the barn. Not in a bed, not in the forge, just curled beside the gelding like a drifter. She stood there, watching his chest rise and fall. His face was peaceful, but the scar across his neck whispered of things she didn't want to know. She turned to leave, but stepped on a dry branch. His eyes flew open and he sat up fast. Rosie. Didn't mean to wake you, she said, her voice gentle for once. He looked at her like he'd dreamed her. You never called me that before. You weren't around long enough to earn it. She meant it to wound. Instead, he nodded. I deserved that. Chapter 4, The Fire Inside. 2 days before the week was up, the threat came real and sharp. Wade Nethers, one of the land-hungry ranchers, rode in with 2 men and a bottle of rock gut. He leaned on the forge's post like he owned it. Rosalie, darling. Still pretending you can run this place with half a face and a full temper. Callen stepped out of the shadows, hands at his sides but near his belt. Careful, Wade. I hear pretending's a dangerous game around here. Wade smirked. And I hear you're the infamous Callen Graves. Didn't think a man with blood on his boots could play house. I ain't playing, Callen said, stepping forward. And I ain't leaving. You got something to say about this forge, say it straight. Wade's smile faded. You want a duel over dirt and steel? No, Rosalie cut in, slamming a horseshoe onto the anvil so hard the men flinched. You want a fight, you'll fight me. This land is mine. And I've bled for every inch. Wade's eyes flickered over her face, pausing too long on the scar. Suit yourself, woman. But no one's gonna keep coming to you for business when they see you're protected by a killer. Callen didn't flinch. Better a killer than a coward. Wade spat, but rode off. That night, they didn't sleep. Rosalie brought out a bottle of whiskey and 2 tin cups. They drank under the stars. I thought you were dead, she whispered. I thought I was too. They didn't kiss. But in the silence, something old and aching stirred awake between them. Chapter 5. The Choice. The week ended in silence. No declarations. No fanfare. Just a dusty sunrise and Callen packing his bag. You're leaving. Rosalie stood behind him, arms crossed, jaw tight. I said I'd give you a week, he said. Didn't say you'd want more. She walked closer. I didn't think you'd stay. I didn't think you'd ask me to. Their eyes met. Then she stepped forward and pressed something into his hand, a forged iron ring, blackened but shaped with care. A symbol, she said. You passed the test. He stared at it. Then at her. You sure? She nodded once. But don't think it means everything's fixed. You hurt me when you left. I'll spend every day trying to heal what I broke. Her voice was quiet. Then stay. He dropped the bag. Stepped forward. Touched her scarred cheek like it was holy. And this time, they kissed. Chapter 6. A Town Remembers. Callen stayed. They rebuilt the forge. Together. The townsfolk, slow to trust, watched as the Quinn forge roared to life again, orders doubling, children coming to learn, and Callen earning a new reputation. Not as an outlaw, but as the man who tamed fire beside the woman who survived it. When Wade Nethers returned months later, he found not a broken woman but a town that stood behind her, and a man beside her who'd chosen love over vengeance. He left without a word. Epilogue. Forged in flame. They never married in a church. Just a small firelit circle behind the forge, with soot on their hands and dust on their boots. Rosalie never wore white. She wore black leather and a silver buckle with her name on it, gifted by Callen. He whispered his vows with her hand over his heart. You were the first thing I ever wanted that didn't hurt to want. And she answered, you were the first man who came back when I asked. Dusthaven remembered them, not for beauty, not for blood, but for love born in hardship and tempered in fire.